is wholly owned and controlled by special interests, or what I like to call the men behind the curtain, like from The Wizard of Oz. You know, Barack Obama is just the big head that floats over with the flames and the smoke spouting out. The people who really control what's going on are behind the curtain somewhere, pulling his strings, along with all the rest of them. At the national level, only those candidates that they have handpicked and thoroughly vetted beforehand are even allowed to run for office. When election time rolls around, they give you a pre-selected list of their hand-picked candidates. So there's no real choice. It's Tweedledum or Tweedledee. You know, now, sure, once in a blue moon, a Ron Paul slips through the cracks. But Ron Paul's been in Congress for 30 years. What has he been able to do? Nothing. And even if you had a dozen of him, they would be able to do nothing. So, no meaningful opposition is allowed, and therefore reform is impossible. What we have to do, my fellow Southerners, is to put our faith and efforts into our own countries, our states, and our local governments. We have to work to stem the trickle-down effect from Washington by electing county sheriffs, county commissioners, state representatives and senators, a governor, and an attorney general who are truly dedicated to the Southern principles of states' powers and state interposition in the short term, and ultimately to secession and independence. The correct position on these issues has to be the litmus test for our support of any local candidate or state candidate. Nothing else matters. Where do you stand, Mr. Candidate, on the Southern question? Solve that problem, all the other ones will be solved as a result. You won't have to worry about gun control anymore. You won't have to worry about stamping out abortion anymore, when we're free of their control and we order and control our own affairs. But we have to have the help of our state and local politicians to do that. They are the lesser magistrates who have to interpose themselves between us, the citizens of Alabama, or Arkansas, or Louisiana, etc., and those tyrants in Washington, D.C. Obviously, we need better men than the liberalistic panty waists that occupy these buildings hereabouts. When our immigration law was challenged, Luther Strange and Robert Bentley should have sent a letter to Eric Holder saying something like this: "Thanks for your recent invitation to join you in court. However, we must respectfully decline pursuant to the 11th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution." Oh, and like Georgia said, when they helped us get that amendment, any federal agents coming to Alabama to make trouble for us over this will be hanged by the neck until dead without benefit of clergy.
Yay! All right, all right.
That's what they ought to be telling Washington, instead of saying, well, you know, we did our best, but, you know, they struck down a couple of things and we're just going to have to live with it. No, we don't have to live with it. We can have better. But ultimately, why should we waste our time and our energy over and over again in dealing with and nullifying the encroachments of that majority of Americans who will still outvote us and who will still agitate against our dearest rights and interests and our way of life, as long as we are pinned to this cursed union by those bloody bayonets of 1865. Who needs all that aggravation and expense? The real goal, my fellow Southerners, is an independent Southern Republic. We need a country of our own where our cultural, social, economic, and political principles can be enjoyed in peace by ourselves and our posterity. To think that this cannot be done is, as the contributors to that famous book, I'll Take My Stand, wrote many years ago, simply cowardly and indicative of a lack of political imagination. Such an attitude dooms us to impotence, and we will deserve the ultimate extinction that the Yankee Empire has in mind for us. Forbid it, Almighty God. No, I say, let us adopt the attitude of Edmund Ruffin, that great Virginia patriot, who said, quote, I here declare my unmitigated hatred to Yankee rule, to all political, social, and business connection with the Yankees and to the Yankee race. Would that I could impress these sentiments in their full force on every living Southerner and bequeath them to everyone yet to be born. Unquote. A country of our own. That is what our Confederate ancestors, who we honor here today, were fighting for in the 1860s. If we want to be worthy of their names, that's what we should be fighting for today. Thank you for your attention. May God bless you, and may He grant us a name and place among the nations of the earth.
Ladies and gentlemen, I may be asked to never attend another one of these functions. This is my first one, and I feel like I need to say something to you. How many of you men and women served in the armed forces of the United States of America? Are you proud of that service, sir and ma'am? I am. I am. I'm proud of my father's service, my service, and my son's service. Now, as Nathan Bedford Forrest said in 1871, we have but one flag and one country. The only other thing I will say is, honor this, fix this. And as Forrest Gump said, that's all I got to say about that.